So from a residential consumption, I think Sharjah is very much a global standard. But let's focus upon the wider water usage, not just the domestic consumption. I talk about industrial, I talk about irrigation, I talk about what the uses of water there are, particularly in the UAE. And I think I remember Ghassan mentioning in his speech the fact that there is about 2,300 million cubic meters of water per year being used of groundwater abstracted. And Dr. Tariq, you mentioned the aspect that in not that many years, there will be a complete depletion of the groundwater source in this country if something's not done to change the usage. And then, as Ghassan and Issam was saying, the amount of water that is produced at what I call resource factories. Some people call them wastewater plants. I rather think of them as resource factories, because when we've produced the water from the desalination plants or from the other sources, we then send it to be treated at these resource factories. These resource factories then produce what we call a very high quality water from that process. The process then is producing a quality of water that is eminently far better than the groundwater in terms of the irrigation use. But more importantly, the opportunity for that water to be used for industries instead of using desalinated water. I think this is an area that is still at its infancy in terms of adoption. And not surprisingly, that's because of a long ago perception that only desal water could be used. I'm not talking about industries ranging from cement factories, ranging from many, many processes, steel factories. I know of one in Abu Dhabi that consumes about 50,000 cubic meters per day of desalinated water, when it would be quite straightforward and much more sustainable to use what we call reuse water.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Nahmaduhu wa nusalli ala rasulil kareem. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and a very good morning. From an academic perspective and also an economic perspective in particular, one of the first lines that we learn in economics are that the productive resources are scarce. Though we may have different views on that, but it remains a truth by and large. So therefore, water is one of the most precious resources. It's been important for human existence, for human life, and therefore it should be used efficiently. That's the next line we learn, that since the resources are scarce, they should be utilized efficiently. Some of the studies and the statistics that you look at, they're absolutely alarming, such as by 2030, 75% of the population would be living in cities. Urbanization, growing GDP, growing population. All these require more and more usage of water and thereby power, energy. And it is therefore absolutely essential to understand the nexus, the interdependence, the relationship between water, power, energy, food.
By Dr. Ghassan, he said we are still treating our waste in the same manner as the Roman used to do. So imagine, at the Roman age, they were collecting their waste in the same way we are doing it today. You see, there is no paradigm shift in this business. Okay, so this is also another challenge, how to do this one. As far as the opportunities and the youth, you know now everything is smart. Anything, everywhere you go, you hear the word smart. So I think there is an opportunity for a smart water. So any water you will find should be smart. The technologies behind it is smart. The metering is smart. The bill collectors will vanish and everything will be automatic meter reading. So it will be smart. And the youth, they have huge challenge to contribute to this, how to make this transformation. And as I said, the water value will increase in the future, and we cannot do anything about it. But the opportunities behind this is that we should promote businesses for leak management and district metering, because every single drop of water will matter a lot, and it will be precious also.
Yeah. So we have to apply through some rules or regulations. Suppose, Seva is saying, for the new buildings, okay, for a water connection, they are saying, look, all taps in the bathroom must be connected with sensors. Because there may be kids, there may be servants, they don't mind, because what they are thinking, okay, if I have money, I can get water. No, the money and the water resource is totally different, because we have to understand the youths or the youngsters, they have to understand the importance of water and how to keep it, how to manage it. That's most important.
I think the younger generation coming through, the opportunity to communicate and the fact that there's such enormous absorbing new ideas and new solutions. I think if we talk about the resource depletion and being able, and the receptiveness of the younger generation towards environmental issues, sustainability issues, is very, very high. If you talk to kids at school, they are extremely passionate and really engaged when you talk about such subjects. So really, for me, it's about the sustainability and what I call substitution, because we talk about the aspect of trying to, you mentioned the fact that there's got to be a doubling, I think you said, of water production. You don't need doubling of water production if we utilize far, far more of the water we produce. We don't throw it away to sea. I come back to my resource issue. And we find ways of substituting desalinated water in so many areas that we can do it. And I saw there was a study, I was at a conference in Abu Dhabi a few weeks ago, and there was a study by the Environmental Agency, and even on the irrigation side, they said, actually, there is a 40% over-irrigation of water, of high-quality reuse water, and if you therefore stop the over-irrigation, you could apply it to other places.
Some of the statistics came out of United Nations. One of them is that out of 7.4 billion, the population where it stands today, over 1 billion people do not have access to clean drinking water. There's another 1.2 billion do not have access to electricity. Another 1.3 billion do not have enough food. So therefore, there is an absolute need for research and development to understand how to somehow bridge this gap, whereby there is one extreme where there is flowing water, electricity, enough food, and then you have the other extreme where people are really struggling to survive. So there is greater need for research among academics, and it also requires greater communication, greater understanding, and of course, working together in partnership. Public, private, businesses need to chip in, and research requires financing.
And thanks a lot.